Lily pads, or water lilies, are an absolutely beautiful plant that can be found in many different places. And in Guild Wars 2, they can be found in multiple different areas across multiple different zones, where I want to go over my top 10 favorite lily pads across the entire game. Let's get started. In the number 10 spot are the ones found in Remanda Saltmarsh. This is an area located near the northeastern corner of Bloodtide Coast, just southeast of Stormbluff Isle. In the northwestern corner of this area, you have part of Bloody Bill's base, but the only other map completion objective of note is the singular waypoint in the center, so there's just not a lot of purpose for being in this area outside of a couple of events I run through here. Where the environment around here is a marsh, which marshes and swamps tend to have a lot of lily pads in them, as we are about to explore in this video, where the lily pads around here are really cool and also decently varied. You have some that are larger clusters, some that are kind of on the shore, a few pockets of smaller ones, and I just overall love the vibes of this entire area. Which I think this is a good time to quickly go over what exactly a lily pad is, because I don't think I had a full understanding until recently. Where water lilies are the plant that we can see around the world that have these absolutely beautiful flowers. There are a lot of different species and whatnot, so there are a relatively wide variety of different types of water lilies. They will bear fruit, but their leaves are what we know as lily pads, where they serve the purpose of a leaf, but because of their structure and size, they can provide shade and shelter to fish, while also being a cool hangout spot for frogs, and of course, they serve many other purposes. Where over the course of human existence, water lilies have played an important part for different cultures, which is something that we may see a little bit of in Tyria in just a moment. In the number 9 spot are the lily pads found at the Frog Pond, where this is a very tiny area located in Lion's Arch, and some people may remember this location because I talked about it literally 2 weeks ago when I talked about the best frogs in all of Guild Wars 2, where a few spots in this video will look familiar for people who watched that video, since frogs like to perch on lily pads, and lily pads can often be found in some similar areas as frogs. You can find this area in the center of Lion's Arch, in between all the different crafting stations, the bank, and trading post, where it is a relatively secluded area, which, like I said, is a pretty small area, and it just serves as a beautiful detail for the city of Lion's Arch. But of course, the important detail here are the lily pads, where these are pretty unique lily pads in the sense that they are super tiny. These are the smallest lily pads on this list, and I just love them because they are so cute. Where of course, you got the super tiny frogs on them as well, where the devs could have had big lily pads that the tiny frogs sit on, but they went the extra mile, or like inch, and downscaled the lily pads to fit the frogs perfectly, and again, they're just cute lily pads, and I love them a lot. In the number 8 spot is the Super Adventure Box lily pads, where the Super Adventure Box is something that I have been highlighting a bit in these videos recently, since it happened super recently, where I talked about the frogs or toads from Super Adventure Box, but I didn't really talk about the lily pads, where you can find the lily pads all throughout Zone 2 and Zone 3 of World 1. They play an integral part into these zones, as you often have to jump across them to get to where you want to go. But for most of them, when you step on them, they will quickly disappear, so you have to jump to a new location or risk falling into the improper water, where this adds a nice, small level of difficulty to different areas of the box. But we also have the King Toad's boss chamber, where we have a ton of these lily pads as well as 3 large ones. The larger ones are close to the boss and will not disappear should you stand on them, which allows you to hit the boss but also be at risk of being hit by the boss. Using the smaller lily pads will allow you to find safety and avoid being hit by the boss, where you can jump around on them or use them to get to a couple of boulders that are sticking out of the water, where adding something from Super Adventure Box is definitely a little weird given how different it is from the rest of the game, but I do love these lily pads and they are definitely super unique compared to other lily pads in the game. In the number 7 spot are the lily pads found at Sleive's Inlet. This is a location in the southeastern corner of Caledon Forest, just east of the village of Astoria in the Savari starting area, where I definitely love to highlight things from Caledon Forest and things related to the Savari, because they tend to be some of my favorite things in all Guild Wars 2 because of my bias towards the Savari and my nostalgia with this area of Tyria. But this inlet is a cool area because you have some water coming in from the Sea of Sorrows that is flooding this area. Amongst the dead wardens, sparkflies, and risen swarming this area, you can find some lily pads scattered around here. They come in a few different shapes and sizes, some different colors with some super cool gradients going on, some that are more by themselves, while some that are more grouped up together, and they just work to add a nice level of detail to the water as you are exploring this location. I love the way they move as you wade through the water, where they helped make this area feel extra special, as I came through here the first time all the way back in the day, and they still do the same to this day. In the number 6 spot are the lily pads in the Willowwalk Groves. Speaking of Caledon Forest, this is another location in that map but way further north, close to Great Bane Haven in the northeastern corner of the map, Caledon Forest is a pretty marshy area, and we can find lily pads in a few more spots, but this will be the last time I talk about this map. Where these lily pads are just super cool, where these are kind of similar to the ones found in Remanda Saltmarsh, which we talked about earlier, but these ones are super dense. As you wade through this area, there are just so many different ones alongside a bunch of other plants. You got some mosquitoes and skelk with some raptors, grubs, and hylic nearby. It just feels like a super cool marshy area. You got some green going on here, but for the most part they are predominantly this reddish color, which really makes them stand out from other lily pads. And like many lily pads, they also get pushed around by you as you walk through here, which is just a great detail as well. And I just love the vibes where you're wading through this marshland with dangerous creatures, but you also have to deal with an immense amount of plants as well. In the number 5 spot is a super unique lily pad, and that is because it is the Lily of the Elon. This is a convenience lounge area for anyone who owns the deluxe upgrade for the Path of Fire expansion. You got a lot of what you could need: a mystic forge, crafting stations, a bank and trading post, ecto gambling with a bunch of drunk patrons, some bounty boards, and a variety of other merchants. Where I've hung out in this spot a lot, but something that I didn't notice until recently is how it is a water lily. If you look closely or from above, you can begin to see it. The base level and lower promenade serve as the lily pad for the structure, and then the central building that comes up is the flower part, where you also got a bunch of different water lily structures throughout this entire area, as well as one near the entrance. And I don't know if I'm in the minority that didn't notice this until recently, but I just think it's super cool and I love this style. Whichever architect who designed this place definitely took a page out of the consortium's architects who rebuilt Lion's Arch, but made a building that is so much cooler. In the number 4 spot are the lily pads located in the North Peninsula from Seitung Province. These are the newest lily pads on this list from the End of Dragons expansion and can be found towards the northeastern corner of the map, where you have the Emperor's Watchtower alongside the provisional Minsect camp, and in between the two you have the small inlet with a beautiful bridge going over it that hides many details. At the end of it is a gorgeous waterfall, as well as a chest under the bridge that you can loot. There are a bunch of kappa, which are turtle-like creatures native to Cantha. You have a few different plants hanging off of the cliffs and growing around here alongside a ton of cherry blossoms just sitting in the water. And then you got these lily pads, where I just love how they look. I believe they are a unique model compared to what we have seen so far on this list. I love how they are grouped together and have the vines, and the lily part is incredibly beautiful. I love the pinkish purple and how it matches well with the cherry blossoms surrounding them. I think this is just one of those incredible areas that makes an open world game like Guild Wars 2 so special. There's no reason to come down here, but if you take a moment to explore and smell the flowers, you can find a chest and smell the lilies. In the number 3 spot are the lily pads located in the Gauntlet of the Conner. We return to another area that houses many frogs that I love, but the lily pads here are fantastic. The Gauntlet of the Conner, for those who don't know, is a phenomenal jumping puzzle located in Wychmire Valley, where the main part about this jumping puzzle is how you have to bring a torch from the start of the puzzle all the way to the end. You can light braziers along the way that serve as checkpoints. Where another integral part about this area is all of the water, where if you put 2 and 2 together, the water extinguishes the torch. So you have to avoid falling into the water or the blasts by the frogs in order to successfully complete this puzzle. Where many of the different things you need to jump on through this area are a bunch of lily pads, and I just love this entire mechanic a lot, and I think using lily pads as a jumping mechanic similar to the Super Adventure Box is great. But I guess I'll take some time to point out all the other lily pads around here, because the individual lily pads that you jump on come in a variety of different shapes, sizes, models, and colors, but there are so many others in this area. You got the ones the frogs are standing on, you got some ones similar to the ones we talked about in Seitung Province, and just so many others. They are found all throughout this area, and they are all absolutely beautiful. They just help make this entire location an absolutely gorgeous place to visit. In the number 2 spot are the lily pads found in the Grove, where I'm going to be a little bit honest here. Nostalgia is the main reason they are this high up on this list. And as I was writing this, I noticed that I think there is only a small selection of lily pads, and they are only in one area, where I ran around the Grove trying to find more, but couldn't. Anyways, these lily pads are located on the bottom level of the Grove in the Garden of Dusk area, where you have a pretty stunning area with a bunch of waterfalls, some plants, a decently sized lake, and all of these lily pads. You have a grand total of 10 lily pads, and they are all pretty big. There's a super large one in the center that has a cat, which you can bring a super hot poultry and winter vegetable soup to obtain this cat in your home instance as a part of the Hungry Cat scavenger hunt. Where a super cool part about this area is how you got this big lake that has this bridge going into the House of Kehedans. But these lily pads also serve as a bit of a bridge. One, you have to jump along from one side of the lake to the other. wish to derail into a bit of a personal story, way back in the day I spent a lot of time on these lily pads, just jumping back and forth over and over, like a lot of time. I do it just because I was bored, or because I was watching a YouTube video, or because I was just chatting with a friend. Alongside that, I also used to use these lily pads as an AFK spot, which is a concept that I was super into when I was younger, and it comes from my original World of Warcraft days, where a lot of people on my server cared about having a cool spot to AFK at, like on top of a specific box in World of Warcraft. Where this is kind of dumb, but it was also cool because it helped to build a community on that server. But as I started playing Guild Wars 2, this is one of those spots that I would come to in order to AFK, which a decade later, I don't really do that anymore, and I definitely go AFK in a wide range of unique places without any thought. But I haven't thought about this experience in years until making this video. With all that said, this used to be my favorite lily pad in all of Guild Wars 2, but there are two aspects that bumped it down a spot for me in the past few years. The first is that I just straight up like the #1 spot a lot more nowadays, but the second is how the vibes of these lily pads are kind of ruined by this cat. Where don't get me wrong, I absolutely love having this cat and the scavenger hunt attached, but the cat, and especially the pile of snow as well as the winter stay snow machine, being on these lily pads kinda just ruined the aesthetic for me, and I am probably the only person who has ever played Guild Wars 2 to have ever thought that about this, but still, I love these lily pads and the memories I have with them. But now for the #1 spot, for my favorite lily pads in all of Guild Wars 2, and has to go to the lily pads along the river in Queensdale. This is a spot that I have highlighted a couple of times in recent top 10 videos, and it is just one of my favorite parts of Queensdale, where you have a very complex river system in Queensdale, but I especially like the stretch going from the Otterbrook trading post and towards the Eldred Monastery, where you got this super cool road with some awesome signposts, but on the southern end of the road is this marshy river with these incredible trees, a bunch of drakes and scales, and a ton of plants, including these lily pads. There are just a wide variety of these different lily pads. Some are green, some are pretty red, some have a bit of that gradient action going on, a few are decently large, but none of them are exceptionally large and overtake the area, and you also got some pretty tiny ones scattered throughout as well. You got a bunch that have these beautiful blossoms on them, you got a few that are grouped up, but for the most part they're scattered throughout this river pretty evenly, where it's not completely overtaken by these lily pads, but the combination of the lily pads, grass, cattails, and other plants makes this a super dense, vegetated area, where the aesthetic hits perfectly. I just love this entire area, and the lily pads contribute so much to it. I am very happy that they are here because of how beautiful they are and how many details they add, and they are my favorite lily pads across all of Guild Wars 2. And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed. I definitely love the look of lily pads, and I really appreciate how many details they add to the world of Tyria and our real life world as well. If you like this type of video, I absolutely love making them and plan to continue making them in the future because I have so much fun with this series. Consider checking out Top 10 Frogs, which is pretty similar to this list, or check out my top 10 bars and clubs in Guild Wars 2, which is a pretty different vibe compared to lily pads. I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.